Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading in chronological order. Just such a privilege to have you with us. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to take the time and to go through the word of the Lord with us today. I pray that it would be a blessing to you even as we go through it. Today we're busy in the first book of the Kings and the second book of the Chronicles, and we're going to be going through 1 Kings chapter 22 and 2 Chronicles chapter 18. So these chapters are speaking about the same events, but from different perspectives, as it were. And also, there's quite a lot that's happening in these two chapters. So we're going to try to do it justice in the overview. But really, as you go through it and as you go through the reading, just pay attention to the nuances within there and the differences within the retelling of the same event, because that's gonna come out a little later. And when we get to the end of the second book of Kings, I'm going to unpack that and we're going to go through some of the learnings in there. But as we go through the passages today, we see that Ahab calls King Jehoshaphat, who actually joined affinity with him, to discuss an alliance to God, to go up to battle at Ramoth Gilead. Now, when we see the opening passage talking about Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat was a good king. He was a righteous king. He was a king that was adored by many, and a king that walked in the ways of the Lord. So when Ahab asks him the question, Ramoth is ours, can we go up and take it? Let's go and fight, let's go and take this land. And Jehoshaphat tells Ahab to call for the prophets to tell the kings if the Lord will be with them and deliver the enemy into their hands. And so Ahab calls his false prophets, who assure the kings of a victory. Now, we must understand, and when we read through it, just look at where the lying spirit comes from. Now, this is very important that we understand that when you want to be deluded, you will receive a delusion. And when you don't have a love for the truth, and when you seek not the face of God, the Lord will send that strong delusion. If you don't believe me, let's look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. It says, and for this cause, what was the cause? That they have not a love for the truth. But it says, and for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Go and read through that chapter and read through those verses 10, 11, 12, and you'll see there that the Lord sends the strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. And this is what happens here. That lying spirit is sent down from the Lord to confuse these prophets, and Micaiah brings light to that through these chapters. Then we see that Jehoshaphat pushes Ahab and asks if there's another prophet that they can call. And so they call Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And the prophets of Ahab warn Micaiah to say the same things that they spoke to the kings. But Micaiah declares to them that he will only say what the Lord says to him. And the prophecy was not favorable to Ahab. He actually prophesies there that Ahab will die in battle. He speaks about all of the things that would happen, that Israel will be like sheep without a shepherd. And this is what comes through in this prophecy. So Ahab, trying to be shrewd and trying to negate this prophecy that came from Micaiah, knowing that his life is in the balance, tells King Jehoshaphat to dress as the king, while Ahab goes dressed as a normal soldier. But this ended up being his downfall. And we see how the battle ensues and how they surround King Jehoshaphat. And when he cries, they realize it's not King Ahab, and then they defer. And then a soldier at random fires an arrow, and Ahab is injured unto death in the battle by a stray arrow, amazingly. So Ahab dies, and then his son Ahaziah succeeds him. Then it continues, and we read about the reign of Jehoshaphat in Judah, how that he walked uprightly after the ways of Asa, and did what was pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. But Ahaziah, who reigned in Israel on the throne of his father Ahab, ruled wickedly and worshipped Baal. Just such a heartbreaking succession, but one that needed to happen because of the prophecies that were given to Ahab at that time. We're going to leave it there. I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May he give you peace. God bless you as you enjoy the reading of the word today.
Chapter 22. And they continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. And it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat the king of Judah came down to the king of Israel, And the king of Israel said unto his servants,
Know ye that Ramoth in Gilead is ours? And we be still, and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria.
And he said unto Jehoshaphat,
Wilt thou go with me to battle to Ramoth Gilead?
And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel,
I am as thou art, my people as thy people, my horses as thy horses.
And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel,
Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today.
Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them,
Shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear?
And they said,
Go up!
For the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king.
And Jehoshaphat said,
Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him?
And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat,
There is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil.
And Jehoshaphat said,
Let not the king say so.
Then the king of Israel called an officer and said,
Hasten hither, Micaiah the son of Imlah.
And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Judah sat each on his throne, having put on their robes, in a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah made him horns of iron. And he said,
Thus saith the Lord, With these shalt thou push the Syrians until thou have consumed them.
And all the prophets prophesied so, saying,
Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper.
For the Lord shall deliver it into the king's hand.
And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying,
Behold now the words of the prophets. Declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good.
And Micaiah said,
As the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak.
So he came to the king, and the king said unto him,
Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear?
And he answered him,
Go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king.
And the king said unto him,
How many times shall I adjure thee, that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord?
And he said,
I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills, as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, These have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace.
And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat,
Did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil?
And he said,
Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth, and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee.
But Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah went near, and smote Micaiah on the cheek, and said,
Which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee?
And Micaiah said,
Behold, thou shalt see in that day, when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself.
And the king of Israel said,
Take Micaiah, and carry him back unto Amon the governor of the city, and to Joash the king's son, and say, Thus saith the king, Put this fellow in prison, and feed him with bread of affliction, and with water of affliction, until I come in peace.
And Micaiah said,
If thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me.
And he said,
Hearken, O people, every one of you.
So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Judah went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat,
I will disguise myself, and enter into the battle, but put thou on thy robes.
And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into the battle. But the king of Syria commanded his 32 captains that had rule over his chariots, saying,
Fight neither with the small nor great, save only with the king of Israel.
And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said,
Surely it is the king of Israel.
And they turned aside to fight against him, and Jehoshaphat cried out. And it came to pass, when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, that they turned back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot,
Turn thine hand, and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded.
And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at even. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. And there went a proclamation throughout the host about the going down of the sun, saying, Every man to his city, and every man to his own country. So the king died, and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, and they washed his armor, according unto the word of the Lord which he spake. Now the rest of the acts of Ahab, and all that he did, and the ivory house which he made, and all the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Ahab slept with his fathers, and Ahaziah his son reigned in his stead. And Jehoshaphat the son of Asa began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Azubah, the daughter of Shilhi. And he walked in all the ways of Asa his father. He turned not aside from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, for the people offered and burnt incense yet in the high places. And Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat, and his might that he showed, and how he warred, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And the remnant of the Sodomites which remained in the days of his father Asa, he took out of the land. There was then no king in Edom, a deputy was king. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion-Geber. Then said Ahaziah the son of Ahab unto Jehoshaphat,
Let my servants go with thy servants in the ships.
But Jehoshaphat would not. And Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father. And Jehoram his son reigned in his stead. Ahaziah the son of Ahab began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 17th year of Jehoshaphat king of Judah, and reigned 2 years over Israel. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in the way of his mother, and in the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. For he served Baal, and worshipped him, and provoked to anger the Lord God of Israel, according to all that his father had done. The end of the first book of the Kings, commonly called the third book of the Kings. Chapter 18. Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab. And after certain years he went down to Ahab to Samaria, and Ahab killed sheep and oxen for him in abundance, and for the people that he had with him, and persuaded him to go up with him to Ramoth-Gilead. And Ahab king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat king of Judah,
Wilt thou go with me to Ramoth-Gilead?
And he answered him,
I am as thou art, and my people as thy people, and we will be with thee in the war.
And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel,
Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today.
Therefore the king of Israel gathered together of prophets 400 men, and said unto them,
Shall we go to Ramoth-Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear?
And they said,
Go up, for God will deliver it into the king's hand.
But Jehoshaphat said,
Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him?
And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat,
There is yet one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him. For he never prophesied good unto me, but always evil. The same is Micaiah, the son of Imlah.
And Jehoshaphat said,
Let not the king say so.
And the king of Israel called for one of his officers and said,
Fetch quickly Micaiah the son of Imlah.
And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat king of Judah sat either of them on his throne, clothed in their robes, and they sat in a void place at the entering in of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah had made him horns of iron, and said,
Thus saith the Lord, with these thou shalt push Syria until they be consumed.
And all the prophets prophesied so, saying,
Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper.
For the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king.
And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spake to him, saying,
Behold, the words of the prophets declare good to the king with one assent. Let thy word, therefore, I pray thee, be like one of theirs, and speak thou good.
And Micaiah said,
As the Lord liveth, even what my God saith, that will I speak.
And when he was come to the king said unto him,
Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear?
And he said,
Go ye up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand.
And the king said to him,
How many times shall I adjure thee, that thou say nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord?
Then he said,
I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, These have no master. Let them return, therefore, every man to his house in peace.
And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat,
Did I not tell thee that he would not prophesy good unto me, but evil?
Again he said,
Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spake, saying, After this manner, and another saying, After that manner. Then there came out a spirit and stood before the Lord, and said, I will entice him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And the Lord said, Thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do even so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil against thee.
Then Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah came near and smote Micaiah upon the cheek, and said,
Which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee?
And Micaiah said,
Behold, thou shalt see on that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself.
Then the king of Israel said,
Take ye Micaiah and carry him back to Ammon the governor of the city, and to Joash the king's son, and say, Thus saith the king, Put this fellow into prison, and feed him with bread of affliction, and with water of affliction, until I return in peace.
And Micaiah said,
If thou certainly return in peace, then hath not the Lord spoken by me.
And he said,
Hearken, all ye people.
So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Judah went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat,
I will disguise myself, and will go to the battle. But put thou on thy robes.
So the king of Israel disguised himself, and they went to the battle. Now the king of Syria had commanded the captains of the chariots that were with him, saying,
Fight ye not with small or great, save only with the king of Israel.
And it came to pass when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said,
It is the king of Israel.
Therefore they compassed about him to fight. But Jehoshaphat cried out, and the Lord helped him, and God moved them to depart from him. For it came to pass that when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, they turned back again from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Therefore he said to his chariot man,
Turn thine hand, that thou mayest carry me out of the host, for I am wounded.
And the battle increased that day. Howbeit the king of Israel stayed himself up in his chariot against the Syrians until the even. And about the time of the sun going down, he died.